Hij is een rebel, een anarchist, geliefd bij de mensen. En hij is vanavond, gelukkig hier, eigenaar van een Caribisch eiland, goed voor 3 miljard euro. En samen met de studenten hier in Rotterdam en in samenwerking met de Kennissenclub interview ik vandaag de baas van Virgin, Sir Richard Branson. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Please take a seat.
Thank you for a very nice welcome.
Thank you so much for taking the time and to talk to the students. First of all, what kind of student were you? Were you a serious guy?
I wasn't a very good student. I ran away from school at 15, so I wasn't a student for very long, but I was more a student of life once I'd left school.
Right, and you had some handicaps, right? You had dyslexia?
I had and still have dyslexia, although I think I've trained myself out of it somewhat over the years. I think if you're dyslexic or if you have any kind of handicap, you're apt to excel at the things that you're good at, and then and in my own particular case, I've become a very good delegator, found very good people to help me at the things that I'm not good at. So in some ways, dyslexia has helped me. I mean, if I hadn't been dyslexic, I think I would have followed a more conventional life, but because I was dyslexic, I maybe followed a slightly less conventional life.
Right. We went back to your boarding school with one of your first friends you had there in Stowe boarding school. Let's have a look.
We left school at the same time, and we went to live in my parents' basement house in Connaught Square in London. And we published this magazine, and we construed it all, and we couldn't pay people to help us. So what Richard would do is go out to clubs in London, nightclubs, and pick up girls and then bring them over. And then the girls then would attract more boys, and this snowballed into a more or less permanent party that was going on, and we all had a really good time. And that was really the basis, I think, of Virgin. Came from Richard, and it came from this idea of having fun.
Johnny Holland, is he right?
Johnny Holland Gems. I'm afraid I haven't seen him for many years, but they were exciting days, and I think he summed it up pretty well. I think I'm a great believer that if you enjoy what you're doing, you'll be very successful at doing it. So we've always managed to, I think, have a group of people around us who, 100% believe in what they're doing and are committed to what they're doing, and when we make sure a lot of fun it's had on the time.
Let's open up this hall for questions of students. The blue shirt here in front of us.
Yes, hello, Richard. Now that you have $1 billion, I'm sure you can confirm that simply having more and more money doesn't make you more and more and more happier. So then what are the things that we can do daily that do make us happier?
I think you're absolutely correct in what you say. I mean, I've never been interested in being a businessman or being an entrepreneur per se. I've been interested in creating things. In order to create things and make a difference, it's important that at the end of the year you can pay the bills. And the only way you can pay the bills is if you're making a real difference to people's lives. With wealth comes enormous responsibility, and it comes the responsibility to use that wealth to make a difference. And I think that's where you get the satisfaction if you don't sit on that wealth and waste that wealth, but you use that wealth constructively. And therefore every single penny must be spent in creating new jobs, in tackling problems in the world, and when I come to be on my deathbed, I will be able to look back at my life feeling I've made a difference, not that I've died with $1 billion in my bank account, which will not make me very happy, I don't believe.
How would you describe your way of doing business?
The key is, you just got to completely believe in what you're doing, and if you believe in what you're doing, the people around you will believe in what you're doing, and I think it's more likely than not that you can make a success of it.
Right. Next question, over here.
Dear Richard Branson, my name is Violetta. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Could you explain why you don't create your own business school, your own Richard Branson's business school?
We have set up entrepreneurial colleges in the townships in Johannesburg and in Jamaica to help young people get on their feet there. And maybe I'll read your note. If you've got any good ideas there, maybe we could do something more conventional. But okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go to any other questions, this is an interesting time. Some people would say dangerous time. The European Union has a big crisis. There is a great recession. What would you do if you were in power for one day, or if you had the power? What would you change in the system in Europe?
I think one of the first things I would do would be to say that nobody should be without a job. That if there's 10% of people out of work in a country, I would suggest that the work that is there to be had is shared amongst everybody in the country. So if you go to a typical company and you ask those people who are working 48 weeks a year, how many of you actually would be willing to work less than 48 weeks, you'll find about 20% of people will say, I would love to work less, I'd love to job share, I would like to spend more time with my family, I'm willing to earn less money. And yet companies and governments are not encouraging that. And I think if you were to do that, you could actually make sure that everybody has a job, and those people who are in work would be able to work the kinds of hours they actually want to work, maybe earning a little bit less money, but they'd have a better lifestyle.
Right. Question here.
I had a question about Virgin Atlantic. I was wondering, how do you get one leased 747 and turn it into the biggest airline in the world?
We got one second-hand 747. We made sure that it was the best, funnest plane to fly on, that the people who worked for it were really proud of it, that every single little detail was right. We had things like stand-up bars, we had massages, we gave everybody ice creams, popcorn, we put seatback videos in, which nobody had on planes, and it was just a fun airline to fly. And because people liked it, at the end of the first year, we got a second 747, and then a third, and then a fourth, and we built up to a successful airline. So I think as long as if you're going to create a business, just try to make sure it's the best, funnest business in whatever you're doing, and have a blast yourself as well. And good luck.
Next one over here.
Hi, Sir Richard. My name is Dagmar Moriarty. My question for you is: do all your best and good ideas derive from a sober state of mind?
Do you use alcohol and drugs?
Well,
that's the question.
First of all, when I fly a lot to different cities, and I always try to make a point of taking the staff in a particular city out for the evenings, and therefore by about 1 or 2 in the morning, I'm normally propping up a bar somewhere in the world, and I always make sure I have a notebook in my back pocket, because in the morning I'll never remember what people suggested the night before. Playing hard as well as working hard is very important in life, and partying hard. I think the best companies are the companies that let people have their hair down. They go out and party hard, and if somebody gets stoned as well, why not?
Next question over there.
Mr. Branson, over the years, I think you've moved very much from being a day-to-day manager towards being more of an ambassador for Virgin, for the brands, connecting your name and the brand to people. How has your day-to-day work actually changed, and are there things you miss from 10 years or 20 years ago?
I think most of my time is spent setting up not-for-profit enterprises. So, if I feel, or if the people at Virgin feel strongly about something, we'll set up a not-for-profit organisation and run it just like we would run a profit organisation. So, we set up something called the Carbon War Room to try to tackle global warming, which is aimed at trying to get 25 gigatons of carbon out of the Earth's atmosphere, and working with industries around the world to try to achieve that.
It's over here.
I was wondering how your creative process works and how do you translate your creative ideas into a successful business?
We surround ourselves with wonderfully creative people.
How much of it is yours?
I suppose sometimes I come up with an idea that works, and the key to running any business is just get people around you who are better than you in every area, and then be willing to listen, be willing to give them the freedom to make mistakes. Don't try to do it all yourself.
Over there.
Have you ever experienced a burnout, or have you ever come close?
I think the key to not burning out is keeping healthy, and so I do a lot of sport. I kite surf, I ski, I balloon. I do quite a lot of adventure sport. So throw yourself into keeping healthy, and I think if you have try to keep some good friends around you. So if you do have difficult moments in life, which you always will, you've got good people, good friends to lean on.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Will there ever be a heir to your throne? And
That's
how
an
will
interesting
you?
one. Who will take over from you?
Because you're the face and the name of the brand.
Well, we'll see. I mean, both my children are determined to do their own things. My daughter's a doctor. My son is building a film company, but they would, I think, be capable of flying the Virgin flag and taking it forward one day.
But they have no interest right now?
I think the satisfaction of doing your own thing, proving yourself, is very important for a child of a successful person. And so I'm delighted that my own children have gone out to do their own thing, and then maybe one day they'll come and join me.
The last question of this show, what is your advice to all the students here?
If you want to go into business, think about what frustrates you about the way other people do things, and see whether you can do it better than other people are doing it. And that's the only real reason to start a business, is if you can actually improve other people's lives, and that you're going to have a good time doing it. Otherwise, don't bother and go and work for somebody else.
Thank you very much. Richard Branson.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dank jullie wel.
Great.